thousands of years ago, they were Apollo, Zeus, Ares. Now they are Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the other heroes and villains of DC and Marvel Comics. Join us every week as we discuss the legendary stories, characters, concepts, and other parts of comics as we examine the modern pantheon of heroes. Let's get heroic. Welcome to Under Two Capes, the podcast for the comic book fan. Welcome to Under Two Capes. I am Jared, and I know I said in our last episode I haven't talked about Wandavision yet, but heck with it. I'm going to talk about it now. So to talk about with me is a longtime fan of the show, Steven. Steven, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself? I've been on your show before, actually. So
yeah, actually twice. You were actually my first guest.
Yeah. I think we talked about like a bunch of DC Marvel movie like potential ideas back then. That was like
you were on my Batman episode, which was the very first actual episode of the show, and the one where we were basically pitching our DC and Marvel film slates, like what movies we want to see.
Yeah, so just give you an explanation as to why I'm here. I'm coming on the show because Jared's friend Ladd has not seen WandaVision in full. Mm-hmm. However, I have seen the show, so that's why Jared brought me on to talk about it. So that's
I was like, I need to talk about the show if I run a podcast that centers around superheroes. And then Steven texted me and he's like, dude, do you want to do a podcast episode talking about it? So I was like, all right, I'll do it. So anyway, so we're gonna start off. So Ladd, Steven, what did you what did you think of WandaVision in general?
The thing is, it started off as like, of course, everybody knows who's watched it. By the way, if anybody's listening to this who hasn't seen the show in full, at least
spoilers.
Yeah, there'll be obvious spoilers. So if you don't want to hear those, just click off of this podcast right now and go and watch it. Mm-hmm. We're not responsible for any freakouts that you have over us spoiling it for you. So mm-hmm. I would suggest if you don't want to hear it, just leave now. Just putting it out there before I start.
We've given you your warning.
Yeah. So obviously the first few episodes, like, they don't really offer much in terms of like plot movement because, you know, that was the start of the whole sitcom thing. Like, the 1950s, 1960s sitcoms and all that. It really starts to get going around episode 3 when you remember Geraldine or her actual name is Monica Rambeau. That's when Wanda kicks Geraldine out and when Geraldine says, "Oh, your brother got killed by Ultron."
Yeah.
And that's when the show started like doing the whole MCU thing again.
Yeah, exactly. So, it got really, really it accelerated fast after that.
Oh yeah. Like what was like, before we get into like the nitty gritty, like, let's start off. Like, what was your favorite episode of the show?
Oh, the last one.
The very last one?
Oh, definitely the last one. Oh my gosh. It was either the last one or the one where, let me see, what I'm trying to remember what the plot was for the past ones. Probably the one where they bring in I think it's either it's one of the last 2 episodes. Either one of those two, because I like how they finally name dropped Scarlet Witch. That was great. And then we got to see her in her comic accurate costume.
Yeah, people were freaking out over her getting the Scarlet Witch name officially in the MCU.
Yeah.
For that episode.
Because before she was only called Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah. Personally, my favorite episode in terms of like everything that happened in it, it was probably episode 5 when they were doing the 80s show.
Yeah, that was great.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite. Because, you know, you had the argument scene with Wanda and Vision, and then they brought in quote unquote here Pietro.
Yeah.
who is not really Pietro. He's just some guy named Ralph Boner,
Yeah,
which that was
that was
a
hilarious.
lot of
Though.
people were pissed off at that.
I was like, no, you're not bringing in the X-Men.
Yeah, that's. And before we go any further, I just want to say this. This show was fan theories gone wild.
Yeah.
There was so many of them. Like you would see a little dust speck on the ground in the middle of the show, and the fans would be like, "Oh, it's Mephisto! Mephisto's coming!"
Yeah. Exactly.
And as you saw in the finale, none of that happened. So like a lot of people were they definitely were disappointed because a lot of the stuff that was supposed to happen in their minds didn't.
Yeah.
And I was honestly one of those people. I wasn't really hoping. Well, let's just say this: I kind of wanted Mephisto to come, but I wanted the big cameo. I wanted to see more of like Doctor Strange. That was the cameo that I wanted.
That would have been great. It would have also been nice if like they started hinting at, oh, the X-Men now exist because you own the IP now.
Yeah.
It's not like you're waiting. It's not like you have some copyright stuff. You own the characters.
What did you think about the villain Agnes, aka Agatha Harkness? What do you think about her?
I thought it was cool. I like how they started off showing you, oh, she's just a nice neighbor and everything, and then all of a sudden, you think the main bad guy is going to be the head of Sword, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh nope, it's this other lady, it's Agatha Harkness, and I'm like, oh okay, that's quite a bait and switch.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that the main baddie wasn't Hayward.
Yeah,
like that character was written so generically. Like you'd find that in like a really like, it almost felt like the Jurassic World villain. You remember that movie?
Yeah,
it
exactly.
felt like that. Oh, we're gonna turn this into a weapon. We're gonna turn it. You've seen so many of these villains in like military movies, like not like military movies, but like the cheesy '90s movies.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm happy that he wasn't the main villain. And speaking of Sword, like I know people are saying that the characters Wu and Darcy, they weren't really resolved in the finale, but you know what? Those characters were small. I didn't really expect anything big for them. So
yeah, it wasn't like they were going to play this massive role.
No. So I didn't really care how they ended up. I know Darcy's going to be in Thor 4, and Jimmy's going to be in the next Ant-Man. I don't know what it's called, but
I think it's like quantum something.
Yeah, something about the quantum that he was in Infinity War.
Quantum
Realm, Quantum Realm, yeah.
Yeah, but you see, here's my thing with the show. It took a while. I mean, the whole it's an old it's basically talking about like old TV. That whole old sitcom TV thing got old real fast. So I was very glad around like the end of episode 3 when they started actually linking it to the MCU. I was like, come on, people, move this along.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people were saying too. I mean, I didn't mind it because the first 2 episodes, because I knew that something big was coming. Like I did not expect it to pick up around episode 3. I thought they were going to let it linger for a little bit, like a slow burn. But
kind of me too, yeah.
But I think the way they paced it was nice.
Yeah, me too.
The way they paced it was really nice. They didn't do much with Monica either, which I was really disappointed with how they handled her. I was expecting a lot more.
Because she is like a really big character in the MCU. I mean, in the Marvel, in the MU, I guess.
You mean the comic books?
Yeah, she is not the type of character that you just like introduce and like leave off. I mean, I did like how we finally got to see her use her power like once. But I was like, come on, give me something more than that.
Yeah. Like I feel like, and also just the character development too, like not just the powers and stuff, because I feel like we know as much about Monica Rambeau like if you didn't read the comics, just assume that you didn't read the comics.
Which
You
I
would
didn't.
know as much. Yeah, but just assume that you didn't.
Yeah.
You would know as much about Monica Rambeau in the 4th episode as you did in the finale.
Yeah, exactly.
So
all you know is that somehow she's linked to Captain Marvel if you saw the movie and picked up on the last name.
yeah, she was the little kid who was the daughter of you don't even have to watch Captain Marvel to know about this.
Yeah,
because they explain it in the show.
Yes, I know. It's like a great way to link in a movie you promote feminism.
Yeah.
Jeez, that movie is terrible.
Yeah.
I've gone on the record ranting about how much I don't like Captain Marvel. So
yeah,
the fans are well aware of that.
This show, I mean, was like I think it was something to. I know this wasn't really the main idea, but I think this show was to like promote the next 2 movies connected to it, because you have Captain Marvel 2 with Monica Rambeau and maybe some of Sword, and then of course you have Wanda with Doctor Strange 2.
Mm-hmm.
So this was definitely a bridge for the new movies. Like it was a bridge between them.
Yeah.
Between the MCU. What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's definitely a bridge between MCU Phase 3 and Phase 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What'd you think of the White Vision? I thought it was pretty cool.
What did I think of the White Vision?
Yeah.
Pointless.
I mean, it didn't last that long. I mean,
no, and it's the White Vision. Like the fact is, it kind of damaged the plot a little bit because it introduced more questions. Because
they rebuilt, they reprogrammed and rebuilt it because you saw in the previous episode.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, I'm not talking about his construction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the way they ended his character.
Yeah, he kind of left. It's like when I was going through the post-credit scene, I thought one of them was going to be something showing what is White Vision up to.
Yeah,
but no.
Because the thing is, why I said it was pointless was because why would you have this ending where Wanda's crying over Vision, like disintegrating from the hex, and then like, did you just forget about the Vision that you inserted back the memories of?
Yeah, you literally can't just have him show up. It's like at that one post-credit scene where they're showing her cabin in like the woods. I thought he was just going to land right there and then they'll be reunited. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't cry. He's still alive. He's literally still alive.
They technically resurrected him. So I don't understand that part. Like, other than how the character ended, it was cool. With how like the White Vision attacked Wanda, that was cool. Because Wanda knew something was off when she saw him. She knew something was off.
Plus, also that's from the comics, and that there was a storyline where I think that they have to hook him up to a machine or something like that, and then the machine goes full Skynet. And then to save Vision, that they straight up unplug him from the machine. But when they unplug him, it like completely wipes him, so he has no emotions and no memories. Which is where we get the Vision we saw in the finale.
But it could be an interesting storyline if they bring him back, because think about it. Wanda doesn't know that this White Vision has the memories of the original. Mm-hmm. So she tries to run away from him because she thinks he's a threat.
That works because he did try and crack her skull.
Yeah. So she doesn't know. So she tries to run away from him, thinking that he's coming after her.
That'd be great. That would actually be a pretty dope, a pretty good movie just for Vision, because he has to come back and come to terms with the fact that, well, he died, and everyone as far as the public knows, he's dead. As far as as his fellow Avengers go, he's dead.
And then this could lead to, because I don't know if they're still accepting Hayward's story or not, if that Wanda took Vision's body from Sword Base.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do that, they could also say, oh, Wanda still has Vision's body, arrest her.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they can't exactly prove she still has the body because the body like fell apart.
Yeah. But also the Sword people could say, oh, we made this thing and she stole it because it was on their property.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but like, how do you think?
I did like that one episode where it kind of shows it shows her childhood and how like she actually stopped that bomb that they reference in Avengers 2. Like that's why the Stark bomb fell and didn't explode. And it's like she always had powers. It's just the Mind Stone kind of accelerated it.
Yeah. Episode 9. No. Sorry. Episode 8, the one you're talking about. I mean, it kind of just went over stuff that we already kind of knew. So that's
true.
That's why I was kind of looking more forward to episode 9, the finale. But episode 8 does give a really good look at Wanda.
I mean, we never knew that. We had always been operating on the assumption that Wanda got her powers straight from the Mind Stone. Like she was a regular person before she was exposed to the Mind Stone. This was showing, no, she actually was not.
Yeah, she was the Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
So that was.
Which I just love that where they name drop her name, and I'm like, oh, they finally did it. They finally freaking did it.
Yeah. So, do you think the sitcom element kind of held the show back, or do you think it helped the show?
I mean, it got old. It kind of made the show feel really long in the beginning because I'm like, okay, what's the point? I can get it if it's like, okay, so it's like one episode. I can understand if episode 1 was just that, and then episode 2 is like the way they did it for the rest of the season, where they interspersed the sitcom with like what's going on outside. But it's like when it's just that for 3 episodes, it kind of gets old really fast.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of held it back in the beginning. I think
you were talking about the one where they like bring up both things. I think you're thinking of episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you said episode 2.
Yeah.
Oh, but okay. they kind of did bring up some stuff in the first 2 episodes also.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I liked about the first 2. Was not the sitcom stuff was good, but what was really good was the stuff where they kind of made it seem a little off kilter.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember those moments where, for example, in episode 1 where the guy was choking at the dinner table?
Oh yeah.
When they were asking the questions. Yeah, that was
mm-hmm.
The first moment where they were like, okay, something's off kilter here. Something's not normal. And then in episode 2, first they have the helicopter, the little toy helicopter.
Yeah.
That was like red and
it's in color.
Red and yellow. Yeah. And then they had the guy talking on the radio, which was revealed in episode 4 to be Jimmy Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Those were like the first 2 things that said, okay, we're moving this forward to like an MCU territory.
Yeah, I did like, by the way, about how when they brought in Wu, like that episode, how it basically recounted. Here's what's been happening the entire series from the outside world.
Yeah,
and I also thought it was pretty cool when they first bring in Monica Rambeau, how she's reconstituting from Hulk snapping the gauntlet.
Yeah, the blip. She's coming back from the blip. Yeah, that was cool.
I can't believe that they call it the blip. That's the worst name for this.
Yeah, so that event technically where she gets blipped back in, that technically happened right after Hulk snapped.
Yeah,
Everything happened right after. Yeah,
exactly.
So technically, the show does take place in Endgame, at least part of Episode 4.
Yeah, part of it. Yeah, exactly.
What was, like, I'm sure I know what this is going to be, but what was your least favorite episode?
Oh, geez. Probably. I mean, probably episode 2, kind of, because I mean, because at that point, the whole sitcom thing had kind of worn down on me a little bit. But yeah, it would probably be there because episode 3 and on, I think were like perfect. I wouldn't change a single thing on those episodes. It was only episode 1 and 2 where it was kind of iffy. What about you?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. What about me? I would say probably, this is going to be kind of unpopular, but I think episode 4, not because
Really?
of what they did with explaining everything, but because they focused on characters that were new.
That's true.
Well, not new to Marvel fans, but just new to the show.
Yeah, that's true.
So I kind of wanted to see more of like Wanda and Vision, because now the thing is, it shifted tone so much. I mean, I liked episodes 1 through 3 because of like Wanda and Vision's whole chemistry and how they interact in the show.
That's
But
true.
in episode 4, all of a sudden we get these people who we haven't been introduced yet, and we're kind of expected to follow and care about this storyline now. So that's why I didn't really like episode 4, because we've been focusing on Wanda and Vision for so long in episodes 1 through 3, and like I said, now we're having to refocus on these new characters, some of which aren't even that significant by the end in the finale.
That's true. That's true. I definitely agree with you on that one. It seems kind of weird how we're all of a sudden supposed to care about these characters.
Yeah, like the tone just completely changes at that point, which I get that that's part of the show, but sometimes, like when you're doing one thing so many times, like, oh, it's all set in a sitcom. Like episode 3 did it correctly, where they revealed it, and then in episode 4 it just became all about Sword, with a brief moment of Wanda and Vision at the end.
That's true.
Which by the way, there's a part in that episode which I loved, and a lot of people did too, like right at the very end when Wanda sees dead Vision.
Yeah, I love that. That is great.
That was the best part of that episode.
Oh yeah, when they just show up and it's his basically husk, and you see the hole where the gem was pulled out of.
Yeah, where Thanos pulled the gem out.
That was so great.
And to think of it, what you were saying?
I was just gonna say, I like those parts in the show. All of the scenes were like they hint something's not right.
Yeah, those are my favorite parts. But going back to the dead Vision in episode 4, that definitely was a red herring from the writers, because they knew at that point that Hayward was making up the rumor that Wanda took Vision's dead body from Sword.
Yeah, exactly.
So they were trying to make it seem like she literally took the dead body, and Wanda was making it out to be like the alive Vision.
Yeah, exactly.
In her head. But then in the finale, in the episode 8 and the finale, we learned that she didn't do that, and the Vision that she had was completely her creation.
Which I liked. I think that's a pretty cool idea, to have it where it was her grief was so powerful that she actually manifested a vision
and held a bunch of people as slaves.
Yeah, that's true. Held a bunch of people as slaves. That is true.
Yeah, a lot of people a lot of people on the internet are like, "Oh, why wasn't Wanda punished more for that?" What do you think about that? Do you think
Because she's an Avenger.
Yeah, but do you think there should be like some repercussions in that in like future movies or TV shows? Like, do you think they
Yeah,
should go
absolutely.
like you remember in Captain America Civil War they were trying to like punish the Avengers for what happened in Sokovia?
All right, that's different. That was not the Avengers' fault. That is
No, but
different.
yeah. But do you think that they should go after Wanda for what she did?
Oh
And that's
yeah,
why she's hiding in the cabin?
probably because she held people captive.
Yeah. It's like if it was real life, that would be considered a war crime.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, yeah, exactly. But and trust me, the UN will be just as effective against Scarlet Witch as it is against other nations.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I definitely feel like there should have been more consequences for her. Like she just walks away and everything's all handy dandy. I'm like, oh come on, you know, Shield knows where she is.
Yeah. But they kind of gave a little bit of a repercussion, not like big, but like just like a small thing, when everybody in the town was like looking at her at
That's
the end.
true. And she's like, everyone sees
So
me now as the villain. You held people hostage.
yeah, so now she's a target. But then Monica Rambeau lets her go like it's nothing.
I know, right?
That a lot of people were pissed off about that too.
Like,
Like they
yo, she threw you through a house.
Yeah, but I think at that point that Monica, she understood what she was going through, Wanda was going through.
Hmm.
So
Because she did say, "Hey, if I had your powers, I'd bring my mom back."
yeah, and turn the whole neighborhood into a 50s sitcom.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
do you think the finale, like, what expectations did you have for it?
The finale. I thought, first off, I thought the X-Men were going to show up. I didn't know it was just going to be, oh, she just grabbed someone off the street. It's not actually Pietro from the X-Men universe. I'm like, you couldn't give me this one thing, Marvel. You couldn't give me this one thing. Lord knows I don't ask that much of you because I'm more of a DC fan. But Lord knows I don't ask that much for you. But you just decide, now we're not going to bring in, like, I would have loved to see Wolverine, or
You
at
would have
least bring in Doctor Strange. Bring in, like, in some way, because they're going to be involved in the movie, and it feels like of all the characters that would know what's going on right now, like, detect some like disturbances in, like, the magical force or whatever, it would be Dr. Stephen Strange.
yeah.
And I just love how so wait a second. So there's this big hex everywhere that the government knows about. None of the Avengers show up.
Yeah. Maybe because if you really think about it, the Avengers after Endgame, they all went off and started doing their own thing. So
We
I
still
don't
had an Avengers team, I think.
Yeah. But um this is definitely something they're going to explore in like the later movies and shows about the hex.
Yeah,
They
I
might
think so.
mention it in like a few shows and movies. They're definitely going to mention it in Doctor Strange too. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah, they have to. That'd be like a missed opportunity if they don't.
Yeah. Um as for me, I wasn't expecting the whole X-Men to come out and establish themselves in the MCU. What I was expecting, I mean, I kind of reserved myself to the fact that that wasn't going to be Quicksilver at that point because I knew that Agatha was controlling it.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the hint.
As soon as they
Because
did that whole episode was like it was Agatha all along, and you see her, like, manipulating Quicksilver at the door. I was like, okay, it's a trick.
yeah, like I knew I I had a 50-50 chance at that point. But like he also was like, if you saw the end credit scene of episode 7, like Ralph went up to Monica, was like, snooping as snooping does, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I thought, okay, this might be like a 50-50 shot of him actually being Quicksilver. And then he turns out he's not Quicksilver at all. He's just a kid that was picked up off the street to
Yeah. I was like,
house
no,
Agatha.
no, you're taking that away from me, Marvel.
Yeah. But yeah, that was one. I was like 50-50 expecting that. And my biggest hope was for Doctor Strange. That was my biggest hope for a cameo, because Paul Bettany was like, oh, there's going to be a Luke Skywalker style cameo in episode 9. There's going to be this, there's going to be that. But turns out the cameo is actually Paul Bettany talking about himself, fighting himself.
Yeah.
So he really did troll
That
us.
was great. Yeah, I love that. I was like, well done, sir.
Yeah. Luke Skywalker cameo. No, that
Except
did not happen.
less cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would. I would have liked for at least one other like of actual Avengers character, like not just Monica Rambeau. I would have loved for like maybe see not necessarily Thor, but probably like maybe Falcon. Falcon and Winter Soldier are gonna have their own show, but I'm trying to think who's still alive or like active at this point. Hulk, maybe, because he's a scientist and maybe they'd call him in to advise. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, guys.
Well, while we're still here, we've kind of touched on WandaVision a lot. Overall, like, what did you think of it?
I liked it. I thought it was a great show. Granted, there were strengths and weaknesses, but overall, it was very enjoyable. It was. I will say this: the first couple of episodes were humorous. I enjoyed some of the laughs from there. I liked how they made I liked how they showed like how Wanda's making everything black and white when like everything reverts back to color. I liked how from episode 3 how they started like hinting at not only it was like was Monica Rambeau unique. By the way, that was a cool scene where like Hayward shoots and then all of a sudden you see the rounds go through her and they like slow down and all that.
Yeah.
And then but I also liked how they brought in Scarlet Witch's kids and they develop powers according to who they were in the comics, and how in the Halloween episode Scarlet Witch and the Vision were in their classic costumes.
Yeah.
That
was probably the coolest thing. I thought it was a pretty good show. I think the fan theories and the expectations for it kind of hampered it a little bit.
Yeah,
because a lot of people were expecting something big and then it didn't come. But
yeah,
it definitely was something. I don't think I would rewatch it, because you kind of already know what happened in it. But maybe before like Doctor Strange 2, maybe I'd rewatch it. But while we're still here, what do you think about, like, are you excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Oh yes. Oh hell yes. Having seen the trailers, yes, that looks fantastic.
Yeah,
because I think they have good. See, here's the thing: whenever you have like a buddy cop movie, you want the two guys to have good chemistry, and they have good chemistry, but based on the trailers, we're like having a staring contest in the middle of the therapy session. Then she's like, "How old are you guys?"
Yeah, I mean, with that show, I don't know if I have any right to say this because I've never seen the trailer. Just from the way it looks, I feel like it's going to be one of those, like, it looks kind of like a procedural show. Like, kind of, I know I probably am going to get crap for this because it sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about. But this is just me based off of not seeing the trailer. Like, it looks like one of those, like, procedural military shows with more action in it,
Maybe.
like an NCIS. And
maybe,
I mean, like Falcon, like I was never really interested in those characters. I'm more interested in seeing what they're going to do with Loki.
Yeah, that show looks great.
That show. Yeah, that show looks great. That one looks really good. I want to see that one.
I think with Falcon and Winter Soldier, but based on the trailers, I don't think it's going to be procedural because they have this overall threat that they're going to weave into the episodes. But also, who do you think is gonna finally have Cap shield?
Who do I think is gonna have Cap shield?
Yeah.
Oh, is that like the big debate?
I mean, it really. I mean, I know that Cap gave it to Sam in Endgame, but the trailers kind of make it look like it could also be Barnes.
Like, in my feelings, I'd say I'd want Bucky to have him.
Yeah, exactly. Because the comics.
But in what's probably going to happen is that Falcon's gonna have it.
Most likely,
that's how the MCU is gonna operate with it.
Yeah, it seems like they're bringing in a lot of different characters that were kind of that. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. They seem to be pushing that diversity really hard in this new phase because they're even bringing in Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, on her own Disney Plus show. Which I'm like, if you don't know who that is, she's a really annoying character.
Yeah, I know. I've heard just based on what I've seen in the reviews for the Avengers PS4 game. I know.
Yeah, I played it. She's less annoying in that than she is in the comics.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm really looking forward to Loki. Like the thing is with the MCU is I like more of like the fantastical characters.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange, Loki, Wanda, just based off WandaVision.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the exceptions is Iron Man.
Yeah, I love Iron Man.
Before he, snapped and then sacrificed. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love the Captain America films. Those were my favorite.
Those are
short of Endgame, but particularly Captain America 2. That was like amazing. Finding out S.H.I.E.L.D. was bad the whole time.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, I'm sorry. What? Go ahead.
No. I wasn't gonna say anything. What were you gonna say? Just.
All right. So, how would you rate WandaVision out of 10? I'd say about 8 to 9.
Out of 10. I would say probably I'd give it like an 8.5.
Okay, that's kind of the average there. That's nice.
Yeah, that's. What would you give it like an 8 or a 9?
8 or a 9, somewhere in there. It wasn't perfect, but it was great. I still enjoyed it. It was good for a Marvel movie, and it fit the character a lot because it really showcased how powerful Wanda is because she could remake reality.
Yeah.
They did that in the comics, a la House of M.
They essentially just made her the most powerful Avenger.
They did that kind of in Avengers Infinity War, where she's trying to destroy
Endgame?
in Infinity War, where she's she's taking out the Mind Stone and she's holding off Thanos with one arm.
Yeah.
I was okay.
And then in Endgame, when she almost kills Thanos.
Yeah, he's like, you took everything from me. He's like, I don't even know who you are. And she's like, you will. I love, by the way, how they were hyping up Captain Marvel as like, she's going to be the one to beat Thanos. She's the strongest Avenger. Thanos just one punches her.
Yeah.
I think what happened there?
I think after Iron Man passing away in Endgame, I think based off WandaVision, I think Wanda's going to be the main Avenger.
That'd be cool.
Because remember in phases 1 through 3 that Iron Man was the main Avenger.
Yeah, kind of. He was the basis around it.
Yeah. So I think phase 4, starting with phase 4, I think Wanda's going to be the main Avenger going forward.
That works.
Just based off what they were doing with the show. Spider-Man, not really. He's still going to be a supporting cast member. Falcon and Winter Soldier, they're kind of both doing their own thing. Doctor Strange is kind of more of a support character now because they said that Wanda's more powerful than him even. Yeah. So you remember when they said that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Wanda's going to be the Avenger that they focus on more from now on.
Which makes sense because she had I will say this, she had great she had a good character arc in this series, for particularly once they actually got the thing going and you find out her motivations behind everything.
Yeah. The only problem with what I said is my theory is that you don't know if Wanda is looking through that book in the end credit scene because she's good or because she's evil.
I'm betting evil because she had the red eyes too. It's like it looked very, very shaky to me.
Yeah.
I was like,
I
okay. I think what's going to
Yeah.
happen is that in the Doctor Strange movie, she's going to try and screw with reality again to bring her kids back, and then Strange is going to have to stop her.
That's what I'm thinking too, because at the very end, like you hear the kids screaming, "Mom, help, help!"
Yeah.
So I think
Exactly.
yeah, there's going to be something with the kids. She's going to go to another town and do this all over again. At least try to do it, and then Doctor Strange finds out and he goes to stop her.
Yeah, finally, because it's like, where were you the first time, bro?
Yeah.
It's like every time there's like a solo superhero movie that exists in the same universe as a team movie, and then it's like there's this big threat, and I'm like, wait a second, where's the Justice League? Where's the Avengers? What are you doing here?
Yeah. And the movie is also called Multiverse of Madness, so there's all in that entails with that.
Yeah, Spider-Man maybe. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I'm just saying.
I don't know if
they're said to be bringing in Charlie Cox Daredevil.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to bring in Spider-Man in that movie in particular, but what I think is going to happen is that they're going to do the multiverse in Doctor Strange 2, which of course, by the way, is directed by Sam Raimi, director of the original Spider-Man trilogy. Yeah. So they're gonna bring all those people that they're gonna bring in because they don't want to shove too much stuff in one movie. And then in Spider-Man No Way Home, which by the way is the title, in case anybody listening didn't know that, they're gonna bring Tommy. Well, I don't want to say they're going to because Marvel could disappoint us by not doing it.
Most likely, the indications are they're gonna have Toby and the Amazing Spider-Man guy show up.
Andrew Garfield, yeah,
but, they're gonna have him show up.
But I don't think they're gonna bring them in until Spider-Man No Way Home because there's no reason to bring him in to the Doctor Strange movie.
That's true. I mean, they could. What they could do is have it be a post credit scene because it's gonna be dealing with the multiverse, and it could be they were pulled through during all this multiverse battle. Because I'd imagine that Strange and Wanda are gonna have a battle in the multiverse, and it's going to screw everything around, and all of a sudden it's going to be like a post credit it's going to be like two post credit scenes. One is going to show Tobey Maguire in like New York, and then the other one's going to be Andrew Garfield. And then in Spider-Man in the new Spider-Man movie, they're going to bring in those two characters.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're going to bring Spider-Man, the two other Spider-Mans in, and possibly have them work with Tom Holland's original MCU Spider-Man.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's what everybody's hyped up for this movie for, is those other two.
The only part I'm concerned about is that they're also bringing in characters like America Chavez, who's like this very cringe character. So Marvel Comics went through this period that almost bankrupted the company again, called All New, All Different, where they replaced everyone else with basically.
You mean Marvel's woke era?
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that Marvel's basically doing that in the MCU, and I'm like, didn't you lose a lot of money on this? Which, by the way, it wasn't a coordinated effort at all. That wasn't originally a publishing initiative. What happened was all these different writers wanted to create their own versions of characters, like a Black Captain America, Ms. Marvel, who's a Muslim, and then the editorial at Marvel didn't communicate at all. So it was an accident that we got that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah. But so far they haven't been doing it with the MCU, which I do appreciate, except for Captain Marvel.
Yeah. And Black Panther.
And a lot of the stuff in Black Panther, yeah. But other than that, it's kind of been like SJW stuff free. Obviously, that's going to change probably.
That's most likely going to change, and it could be changing for DC because they announced they're basically making a Black Superman movie.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that as long as Henry Cavill stays and you use him as like another Superman because you said you're going to bring in the multiverse. Do it.
Yeah.
Show me you're going to do that. Prove it to me, Jim Lee. Do it.
Yeah, I just hope, and this counts for Spider-Man and Doctor Strange too. I love the idea of the multiverse. I just hope they don't do too much with it. Because you know how it happens. It becomes like extremely convoluted.
Exactly.
There's like a lot of things happening at once.
That was my concern, like last year when DC announced they were going to do a film multiverse because they linked all the shows and movies together, and I'm like, that's cool. You can say they like, that a multiverse exists, and the same goes for Marvel, but don't have a movie. I don't think it's a safe idea to have a movie purely about the multiverse because that will get confusing for non-comic book fans really fast. Like someone like me, I can do it because I've read DC forever and they really hammer in the multiverse. But the average movie goer that's not a comic book fan will not understand the multiverse, either side. Marvel more so because they have a lot more worlds on that multiverse.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what they're going to use it for is an opportunity to like show little snapshots from their past movies. And then what they'll do is they'll pick and choose parts from the past movies that they want, like the Shocker Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, and just take them and put them in the MCU.
Yeah, it's going to be.
I'm sorry,
and then they're probably going to bring in people from X-Men, like you said. Maybe,
eventually.
Maybe that's a big maybe.
It could be with the multiverse that they finally do that.
They could make an apology for messing up the Quicksilver cameo by actually bringing in Quicksilver. That could be like great. A little apology. That could be actually like a little. That could be like a little apology to the fans from Marvel.
Like he was actually Quicksilver this whole time. He just had amnesia.
Yeah. That'd be
great.
That could be Marvel's apology to the fans for what they did in WandaVision.
Lord knows you owe me an apology for that one because I was super hyped.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's Quicksilver. And it's just some guy named Boner.
Yeah. Anyways, wow, it was good. It was good to be on.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for hopping on, and I hope y'all enjoyed this bonus episode. They'll both be going on the YouTube channel at Comics League Network. I had to change the name to help with visibility, and they'll also be on Spotify under Two Capes. And hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Steven, always a pleasure. You're welcome anytime.
It was nice talking to you, man. It was really cool to get on.
All right, everyone. Stay heroic. Bye-bye.